Hello and welcome to the Dinosaw for week 12. Another 7 curious, interesting things I saw last week. So let's crack on. Excuse the hat, just didn't do my hair. So Netflix are cracking down on password sharing. So they have pretty much actively turned a blind eye to this before. So they've stood up at conferences and say, look, it's really just a recruitment strategy, more or less. Obviously, they've not actually said that, but they've definitely said they're not going to crack down on it. But now they are. So if you are caught, or if you're starting up your Netflix account, you will start to probably see this screen, which will then say to carry on, you need to just verify that you're in the household. You are allowed to share within the household. So email a code or text a code, and therefore, if you don't know the original owner of your password, then you can't phone them up and say, did you just get a text and can I have it please? Then you've been rumbled. So you now need to either do a 30 days free trial, and basically they're going to convert those kind of 1 in 3 millennials apparently who are sharing passwords into ideally paying customers. So you've got the likes of sort of Disney Plus and Peacock, and obviously it's a competitive market out there. So those kind of floating sharers are very good to turn into paying customers. There you go. So this is a curious one. So this is an experiment. This is University of Helsinki, and they're using essentially EEG devices, so sort of brain scanners or sort of a computer brain interfaces, to scan your brain for activity that would indicate that you are attracted to what you see. So basically what they're doing is they're then using a generative adversarial network, or a GAN, to generate faces on the fly. So if you've been to a website that, you know, this person does not exist, you will be aware of this sort of technology. You can just generate faces. So what this does, listens to your brain activity. Obviously your eyes then see a face in front of you, and it detects whether you find it attractive or not. And if not, it then tries to figure out what, by giving you more and more and more variations, until you finally sort of reach sort of peak attractiveness as far as your brain is concerned. It goes, is this the sort of person you like? And you go, yay. So that's weird. Not quite sure what to think of this. But what a weird use of GANs and brain interfaces. Google, I don't know what to make of this one either, to be honest, but Google have had their lawsuit against them approved to go to trial. So this is a class action lawsuit about essentially not being clear about incognito mode. So maybe it's just me, maybe I read this sort of thing and I know what it does, but it's fairly clear to me what incognito mode does. It even says it on the screen. But apparently enough people have got together to do a class action lawsuit that says, even though it says it's tracking you, we didn't know it was tracking you. So really what it comes down to, although Tesla are having this as well a little bit with their sort of self-driving mode, you know, basically it's not really self-driving mode. So although people were led to believe incognito mode was private, it wasn't really. So obviously Google are tracking you. Everything you do on a website can be tracked. It's not being stored on your local machine. So this is really a thing about making terms and conditions clear. If that's the world you're in, this might be quite an interesting one for making sure that the very, very basics of what you're about to sign up to are somehow clearer than they currently are. NFTs. So more and more NFT madness is going on at the moment. If you don't know what NFTs are, these are non-fungible tokens, which basically means that you can get essentially you can get proof of ownership on the blockchain that you own a piece of artwork, or anything really. So these are non-fungible tokens, NFTs. So what do you actually buy when you buy an NFT? What do you get? What makes you own the piece of artwork? So of course you get your certificate, and basically a developer called John G. Waring, who's British based, did some research into what actually is an NFT, and it turns out the contract that you get is actually a JSON file, which if you're a techie you will recognize in front of you, and it's just basically a series of definitions with some values against them. So what this really means is what you're really buying is a text file, and then it will actually say, by the way, there's a link to the actual artwork over here. So there's two ways it will do that. It'll just say a URL. Here's the artwork. It's on this server over here. which of course is a bit dodgy, because obviously what if that URL ceases to exist in 50 years time? And the other way is actually using what's called IPFS, which is an interplanetary filing system. So the way that works is it doesn't really care where the file is on the internet. It's peer-to-peer based. It doesn't really care where it is. It just says basically, where are you? And that little file somewhere in the internet goes, I'm over here. So that's basically how that works. So, which is good. That's the better way of doing it. Now, the only problem is the implementation of these NFTs also says, yeah, go and get that. Go and ask the internet where it is, but it does it through a website, which is makersplace.com, which of course can go down as well. So, so essentially you're now reliant, say Beeple, who you may have heard of, sold, or their NFT was actually sold for $69 million. The actual NFT has URLs in it. So if those URLs go down, that certificate is worthless. $67 million is based on somebody renewing a URL. So it's a little bit chaotic right now. It's all a bit new. Nobody really knows what they're doing, it seems. So yeah, if you're going to buy an NFT, you might want to check the actual certificate you've got that actually just links to the IPFS, not to a website that looks up the IFPS. Anyway, there you go. Hopefully I explained that clearly enough. So this is a company called the Smart Tyre Company, who have teamed up with NASA to create a new bicycle tyre, or lots of tyres. So you may have seen these on Mars rovers, for instance. So these are puncture-proof tyres because they don't actually have any air in them. They are just a metal comb matrix, and it's a special kind of alloy which can deform but will instantly move back. So essentially you can't bend it. You can't just go up to it and sort of pinch it and leave it pinched. It will always boing back. So if you get this nice matrix, it's super kind of tense, and then you coat it with a special rubberized polymer, essentially, you can create your own version of a pneumatic tyre. So this thing will apparently never wear out because the polymer is so strong. It will never get punctures. It will last for the lifetime of the bicycle, is what they're saying. And they're even saying it will be due in 2022. So you might see these on cars, you might see these on bicycles, but there you go. So everybody says you can't reinvent the wheel, but it seems the tyre is constantly being reinvented. So look out for that. YouTube, this is a bit confusing, but YouTube is launching shorts. Now, obviously, if you use YouTube and you scroll up and down to explore more things, you will see a little rail called Shorts. So what on earth are those? You've seen those for a year or so. Those are essentially just short videos. So what they're really launching here is the Shorts camera. So this is akin to the TikTok studio camera, essentially, so you can create things. Up until now, all you've really got to do is do a vertical video that's less than 60 seconds and it could appear in the Shorts rail. Now you will, starting in America, although they've actually tested this out in India for about a year, you will now be able to get access, if you are a YouTube creator, to the Shorts camera. So the same old stuff, basically. There will be music that you can mix, there will be timers, there will be filters, all that sort of stuff, but it will automatically create this kind of shorts format for you. So they've got to be vertical, less than 60 seconds. So there you are. If you are a YouTube creator and live in America right now, then you may start to see the create shorts option start to appear. Yeah, so there you go. It's one of those that it's kind of big deal, but it's actually so cloaked in lots of other words that sound the same that you probably won't have noticed it. There you go. And finally, Wall Street Bets. So you might have heard of Wall Street Bets about a month and a half ago. They propped up GameStop shares and caused a hedge fund to nearly go out of business, causing basically Wall Street and the government to jump in and back Wall Street over the average person in the street trying to invest. So it was all a little bit whiffy, and there is now an investigation over to essentially sort of nefarious dealings behind the scenes. However, just to show that the Wall Street's Bets group on Reddit are thoroughly nice people through and through, they've actually just basically adopted 3,500 gorillas. So I think it's something like $300,000. It's pretty much £250,000. Now why? So there's a joke basically on the Reddit group, which is apes together strong, which is I think from Planet of the Apes, and basically it's just kind of like we together will beat this kind of big monolithic Wall Street thing. So somebody just said, look, I've just adopted the gorilla, and everybody else said, what a great idea. And it turns out that 3,500 people also adopted gorillas. So obviously the Diane Fossey Gorilla Fund is very thrilled about this, and it carries on going as well. So if you're thinking, what is the internet good for? Adopting gorillas, and watch out for more like this. There you go. And with that, we are done. Thank you very much. Hopefully you enjoyed that. A bit weird, this one, but I'll see you next time.